We all start somewhere different. Maybe it was a V8 Camaro you saw outside your school, its engine a promise of a different life. Maybe your cousin's slammed Golf GTI, a small car with a giant attitude. Or maybe it was something truly terrible, like a Mitsubishi Eclipse with an anime wrap and 4-inch exhaust tips that rattle like a shopping cart. A car that somehow still captured your attention, your imagination. It doesn't matter where you started, because if you go deep enough, if you really explore this obsession, we all end up in the same place. We find the same truths, just through different paths. The first car you fall in love with is rarely a good one. It's emotional, raw, and illogical. It's like your first crush. You don't ask, do they have a stable job or are they practical for long-term commitment? No, you ask, do they make my heart do that weird little hiccup? It's the WRX with more boost than sense. It's a '69 Charger that shakes like a washing machine at idle, or a BMW E36 that's been track prepped, which is code for everything is broken. These are cars that feel alive, that scream, that misfire, that leak oil like it's part of the charm. At some point, every car enthusiast enters what I call the numbers phase. This is when you stop talking about how a car makes you feel and start talking about how fast it can do a quarter mile. Horsepower becomes your religion. Torque is your god. And your new favorite phrase is, yeah, but what is the dyno at? You chase turbo kits like they're Pokemon cards. You're convinced 500 horsepower is the sweet spot until your friend makes 550 and suddenly your car feels like a Corolla. You stop caring about body kits, about your rare wheels, about anything that doesn't involve going in a straight line as fast as possible while trying not to explode a gearbox. But here's where it gets interesting. One day, on your way to another dyno day, you take an off-ramp a little too fast, and the car doesn't handle it. It's floaty, sloppy, like trying to sprint in flip-flops. And that's when the new obsession begins. You discover words like sway bars, coilovers, and corner balance. You start watching Nürburgring videos at 2 a.m., wondering how a 300 horsepower car just lapped a Ferrari. You realize there's more to speed than just horsepower. There's grip, feedback, chassis stiffness, weight distribution. And just like that, another layer of the car world opens up, one that's less about numbers and more about nuance. This is where things start to get weird. Not to anyone else, of course. To the outside world, you're still just into cars. But inside, something has shifted. You've crossed a line and you're never going back. You stop talking about 0 to 60 times and start talking about throttle response. Not in numbers, but in feeling. You obsess over steering feedback, brake modulation, and the weight of a gear shift. You say things like, this car communicates with me, and genuinely mean it. At some point, someone says horsepower solves everything, and you cringe a little. You've been there, you remember those days, but now you know better. You start to sample cars like someone building a wine collection. You try a hot hatch because you want something playful. You try a Miata because you heard it's the answer. You try an old M3 because someone said it was the last of its kind, and they were right. Then comes the drive in a Lotus Elise. You come back slightly deaf, slightly sweaty, and slightly in love. You realize that comfort is overrated and air conditioning is just a distraction from the road. And with every car, you're chasing something you can't quite explain. It's not power, not tech, not luxury. It's something more primitive, more personal. You start using the words connected a lot. You want the car to feel like an extension of your body. You stop caring about impressing people. You just want to feel alive behind the wheel. And that's when you realize it's not about speed. It's about sensation. It's not about noise. It's about harmony. You're chasing balance. A car that doesn't scream for your attention, but earns your respect with every corner. A car that doesn't overwhelm you, but engages you completely. You're no longer looking for excitement, you're looking for truth. It doesn't hit you all at once, no great lightning bolt or slow motion moment. It's subtle, like waking up from a long dream. The engine starts and there's no drama, no fireworks, just a calm, confident hum. You pull away and something feels correct, like putting on a jacket that fits better than you remember. The steering is light but precise. The chassis talks to you, not in shouts, but in a fluent, effortless conversation. Every input matters. Every movement gets a response. It's like the car knows what you're about to do before you do it. And not in a digital, overprocessed way, but in something that feels honest. You press the throttle, not hard, just enough, and it goes. Not like a lunatic trying to prove a point, more like a professional who already won, quietly reminding you how it's done. It's fast, yes, but it doesn't rush, it doesn't panic. It doesn't need to impress you because it's not trying to. There's a kind of dignity to it, a lack of ego. And that's what makes it dangerous, because you suddenly realize this might be all you ever needed. You sit there, engine ticking quietly, wondering what just happened. Not because it was the fastest thing you've ever driven, not because it blew your mind, but because for the first time it made you feel complete. Like you've been chasing this feeling through 10 different cars, 20 different mods, and thousands of wasted hours, only to realize it's always been here. At some point, you stop comparing it to other cars, because the 911 isn't trying to be better. It's just trying to be right. There's no drama, no gimmicks. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. Everything just works. The clutch weight, the gear shift, the way it rotates through a corner like it was designed around you. And that's when it hits you. This isn't a car that's trying to be impressive. It's a car built by people who cared deeply, quietly, for decades. Engineers who didn't chase trends, they just kept refining the same idea until it became art. It's not about power, even though it has it. It's not about speed, even though it's fast. It's about how it makes you feel. Focused, calm, present. Every input is acknowledged. Every response is clean. No wasted motion. No need to explain anything to anyone. You just drive, and it makes sense. Other cars want to be your identity. The 911 lets you just be yourself, at your best behind the wheel. And maybe that's the real reason it matters. Because in a world where everything's louder, faster, and trying too hard, the 911 just is. It's complete. It's evolved enough. Now, some of you are thinking, I'll never want a Porsche. I'm loyal to my RX-7, thank you very much. And that's fine. We all need rebellion. But even the rebels come around eventually. Because as you mature just a little, you start to want a car that doesn't break your back or your bank account or your heart every 3,000 miles. You realize that feeling the road doesn't have to mean hearing every rock hit your floor pan. That a car can be refined and visceral at the same time. And no, this isn't sponsored. I just know where this road leads. It ends in Stuttgart with a flat 6 engine and a steering feel that will ruin every other car for you. So no matter where you started, no matter how many Hondas, Chevys, or oddball Italian things you've tried, if you dig deep enough, if you strip away the noise, you'll find yourself face to face with something timeless, a Porsche 911. Not because it's the flashiest or the fastest, but because in a world full of chaos, it's one of the few things that still makes perfect sense.